Hi everyone, I'm Amy, and today I thought I would talk about 3 apps that have really helped me when I've been stressed or in a slump in the past. I thought I would focus specifically on non-meditation apps today because I think that a lot of the mental health app conversation focuses around meditation, and while I am personally a big fan of meditation, I understand that it's not for everyone, and there's kind of a larger learning curve when you're first getting into it. So I thought I would kind of shine the spotlight on 3 different apps that have really helped me. Also, no app can ever be a substitute for getting mental health advice and counseling if you're really in need of it. So just that disclaimer out there. But without further ado, let's get into it. The first app I wanted to talk about is called AloeBed. If I were to summarize how this app helped me in one sentence, it would be that it taught me how to check in with myself and encourage myself. And I'll be explaining more about how it did that later on. When you first open the app, you'll see these little cards that prompt you. And there's 2 kinds of prompts. The first is check-ins and the second is reflections. So this is where you, for lack of a better phrase, check in and check off little accomplishments and acts of self-care. For example, if I took a shower today, then I would tap on the refresh card that would signify that I took a shower. So there are all sorts of cards that will let you check in on different facets of your life. For example, fuel for eating a healthy meal, hydrate for drinking a glass of water, people for talking with your friends or loved ones, and even something like stimulate for reading a good book or watching a TV show that you like. So that was check-ins, and the other type of prompt is called a reflection. And this will give you a little writing prompt, and then you'll reply on your phone. And this is what I would say really kept me coming back to this app. So here's the prompt that for me was the most impactful and kept me coming back. You'll never speak to anyone more than you. Write an encouraging message to yourself. For some reason, this phrasing was exactly what I needed, because I have struggled with negative self-talk basically for as long as I can remember. And it's silly to say this, but this app helped me realize that just as I know exactly which buttons to push when I'm being harsh on myself, like I know exactly which wounds to rub salt onto to make myself feel horrible. But I can flip that around and also know exactly what words of reassurance I need to hear. And I hadn't really realized that before. So I don't know if you've had this experience before, but let's say there's a big event coming up that I'm nervous about, like a big test or interview or conversation. My friends will, of course, being great friends, try to encourage me and tell me that it's going to be okay. But I had always felt a little bit disconnected from that encouragement. And it turns out that writing the words that I needed to hear and calming the insecurities that I had that was just so tough to express to anyone else, having myself be my own best friend and tell myself the things that I needed was so powerful, and was what I needed to believe those words. And that was just such a powerful thing for me to realize, and I can't believe that a little pixelated app could teach me that. But it's true, and so that's why I'm talking about it today. So yeah, I just recommend it. I think the 8-bit aesthetic and the color scheme is really cute and calming, and that the creators were really purposeful with their wording and the design of the app to make it kind of gentle on you and put self-care first. So now let's switch gears and talk about an app that I found useful for getting me out of a funk and jump-starting productivity. So it's called Arise, and if I were to summarize it in one sentence, it would be a Pomodoro timer with a twist. So if you haven't heard of the Pomodoro technique, it's basically a system where you work and focus for 25 minutes, and then you take a break for 5 minutes. And it's really helpful for breaking down intimidating long chunks of work into manageable bits, because it's really scary and debilitating to think about having to sit down and work for 5 hours straight on your essay. But sitting down and focusing for 25 minutes, yeah, I think I can do that. So a lot of times, just putting on the Pomodoro timer is enough for me to get started. But sometimes I feel super stuck, especially when it comes to writing essays and other creative work. Sometimes there's something blocking you from sitting down and doing the work, and you know it, but you just keep avoiding it, and you keep clicking that next recommended video on YouTube, and you just feel worse and worse about yourself. So this app is really helpful for cutting off that cycle, and it does so in a nice, whimsical way. So it gets you to identify your procrastination demons. And this is just their word for the kind of mental block that's stopping you from starting your work. So some examples from the app are elusive. So when you don't really know what the next step is, and it's kind of just hard to grasp and clarify. Or stigmatizer, when you've been putting off the task for so long that the inherent inertia is just too much to get over, and you dread it because you know you've been dreading it, if that makes sense. It's that kind of cyclical logic. And then last minute junkie, where if you have to be completely honest with yourself, you keep saying that you're going to do it, but you know that you're just waiting for that last minute rush of adrenaline, because that's what worked for you in the past, and you're just gonna keep doing that unhealthy thing again. I've definitely been there. So then you identify your blocking demon, and then the app will walk you through, based on the specific demon, the faulty logic and mental loops that got you there, and just letting you see your own thought processes clearly instead of just avoiding everything. Finally, it'll ask you to identify the tiniest first step that you need to get started, and then it will give you 5 minutes to do that and blast off. And this is so helpful because it breaks the ice. Sometimes even 25 minutes seems like too much work to commit to, especially if you've been putting it off for a long time. And so just having that 25 minutes be broken down into 5 minutes of blast off and then 20 minutes of getting into orbit is such a helpful little trick to get yourself started. I really love the concept of this app. I love the lighthearted tone and the little ugly but cute illustrations for your blocking demons. It's kind of fun to think about them frolicking around in your brain, wreaking havoc. So yeah, that's the Arise app. The final app that I have for you today is called Card Diary. Like it sounds, this is a diary app. So diary apps are a dime a dozen, but I have never been able to stick to one before this one. And I think that the design choices and the layout of this app makes journaling really rewarding and delightful. So it has a really clean, minimalist design where you just click the plus button and you start, no friction. And my favorite thing to do here is to add pictures for every diary entry, because the app will take these pictures and display them like postcards. Just seeing that sequence of pictures transports me back to that week or that month that I was writing these entries, in a way that seeing multiple text entries doesn't do. Because they look like little postcards, it's kind of like taking a vacation back to your past life and your past self. if that makes any sense. So yeah, it just makes journaling really rewarding and fun and light, because you don't feel pressured to write a lot. Writing these little things down makes you feel like your life is fuller and worth recording, and that the days aren't all blending together. And I think this is really important in both the crunch times and the slow times. Because in the crunch times, sometimes you feel like your life is passing by you so fast, and you wake up one day and you're like, where did the past month go? Or what have I been doing? And in the slow times, it's really easy to feel your days all blend and blur together, and also feel like, why am I here? So I just think that writing down a little bit every day is my way of staying grounded and combating those feelings. And Card Diary is a wonderful app that helps me do it. Sorry about the lighting. I think it's about to thunderstorm, which is why it got super dark. But I hope that these reviews were helpful and that you find some apps that may help you on your journey in life. Apps are never a cure-all, but if they do help you in some way, then that's great. So I hope that this is somewhat helpful, and feel free to leave me comments telling me about some of your favorite apps, because again, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just love trying them. So that's all from me, and see you next time. Bye.